You know, when you think of elite training facilities during the summer, the image that usually comes to mind is, well, it's pretty clinical. You picture perfectly manicured grass, methodical drills, and guys just quietly easing back into their fitness routines.
Right. It's supposed to be this isolated sanctuary. The massive gates at Belgababis are designed to shut out the noise of the fans and the pressure so the staff can just, run their experiments in peace.
Exactly. But if you step inside Valdebebas right now, the atmosphere is just suffocating. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are taking you behind closed doors because the whole concept of a quiet off-season has been completely shredded.
Oh, it is a war zone in there right now.
It really is. The club currently has 27 players under contract. Jose Mourinho has returned and is demanding absolute perfection. And the internal tension has spiked so high that blood has literally been spilled on the training pitch.
Yeah, and we aren't talking about a heated exchange of words here.
No, we are talking about a violent physical altercation between Fede Valverde and Aurelien Tchouameni. It required teammates to physically tear them apart, and it ended with Valverde taking a trip to the hospital for stitches.
I mean, when you look at an incident like that, the instinct for most people is to just write it off as competitive fire.
Yeah.
Right? Players get hot, they tackle too hard, it happens.
That's the PR spin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the structural environment creating that spark. This is the physical manifestation of a squad that is simply out of space. A professional dressing room is an ecosystem optimized for 23, maybe 24 guys tops.
Right.
So when you cram 27 elite, highly paid internationals into that room, the oxygen just disappears.
Yeah.
Every single drill, every rondo, every sprint suddenly carries the weight of an audition because Mourinho has made it abundantly clear that people are getting cut.
That kind of psychological pressure is going to break someone, and it forces us to look at the massive mechanical problem the board is facing right now.
They're trapped.
They are. You cannot fund the kind of tactical overhaul Mourinho wants just by selling off a few academy kids or bench players. The math just doesn't work. To build this vision, the board knows they have to put a massive heavyweight on the chopping block.
They have to sacrifice a core piece of the previous project, no question about it, and internal knowledge confirms the crosshairs are completely locked on the French contingent.
Wow, okay.
Specifically, Tchouameni and Eduardo Camavinga. The reality behind closed doors is that Tchouameni's representatives already held initial meetings with Manchester United back in May.
Wait, hold on. Let's pause on that right there. Because moving Tchouameni to Manchester United isn't just a simple transfer. That is a foundational shift in how the entire midfield operates. Why on earth are we so desperate to move a physical anchor like him?
Because of the domino effect it triggers. I mean, the club desperately needs a massive injection of capital like pure profit on the books to fund the actual obsession of this summer window.
Which is Enzo Fernandez.
Exactly. Enzo Fernandez.
Who is currently languishing in Chelsea's mid-table dysfunction, let's be honest.
He is. But Enzo is desperate for an exit. He wants out of London because Chelsea cannot offer him European football. And that is severely damaging his international profile right now.
Right, but what about his contract?
That is the massive financial trap he's in. Chelsea signed him to one of those insane amortized contracts that runs all the way until 2032.
Right, the Bowley special.
Yeah, and because of the Premier League's profitability and sustainability rules, Chelsea literally cannot sell him for a discount, or they take a catastrophic financial hit on their own books. They are forced to demand upwards of 100 to 120 million euros just to break even on the guy.
So wait. We are engineering a 100 million euro exit for Tchouameni just to hand that cash directly to Chelsea for Enzo. I have to look at this tactically and ask if we are just completely losing the plot here. No, seriously. We are talking about shipping out a physical monster, a guy who bleeds for the badge, covers every blade of grass, intercepts everything, and provides a massive defensive shield. And we want to swap him for Enzo Fernandez, a player whose price is artificially inflated by Chelsea's bad accounting.
You have to look at what Mourinho wants.
Is Enzo really that much of an upgrade, or is Mourinho just dismantling the previous manager's engine because he wants to play with his own shiny new toys?
It comes down to tempo and control. You have to look at how Mourinho is fundamentally restructuring the team's DNA this summer. He does not want a destroyer.
He doesn't.
No. A traditional defensive midfielder who breaks up play and plays a safe lateral pass just slows down the transition. Mourinho needs a box-to-box dictator. He requires someone who can receive the ball under immense pressure from two pressing forwards and instantly, vertically orchestrate the play alongside Bernardo Silva.
Okay, so Bernardo Silva is the metronome and Enzo is the accelerator.
Right. And look at the broader demographic shift happening in front of our eyes. Over the last few years, the club's transfer policy heavily targeted 18 to 21-year-olds. But the average age of Mourinho's targets this summer has violently spiked from 21.5 to 28.5.
That is a massive jump.
He does not have the patience for projects anymore. He doesn't want to teach a young physical player how to improve their first touch over 3 seasons. He wants instant, cynical, hardened winners who understand complex tactical instructions the moment they step off the plane.
So Tchouaméni is out.
Tchouaméni is brilliant physically, sure, but he does not dictate the rhythm of a match the way Enzo does.
Okay, but if the midfield is being totally reprogrammed to just hold the ball and dictate tempo, that completely exposes the defense if they aren't on the exact same wavelength.
Oh, absolutely.
Which perfectly explains why Mourinho is applying this identical, ruthless filter to the backline right now.
The paranoia Mourinho has regarding his defense is legendary, and we are seeing it play out in real time at Valdebebas. If you look at the current roster, the club technically has 5 center backs taking up wage space.
Right. Eder Militão, Antonio Rudiger, Ibrahima Konate, Raul Asensio, and David Alaba.
Exactly. On paper, that is a fully stocked depth chart.
I mean, by any conventional metric, you do not spend money on a center back when you have 5 internationals sitting right there on the payroll.
Conventional metrics do not apply to Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust that specific mix of players to execute his build-up play. If your midfield is operating at Enzo and Bernardo's frequency, your center backs have to be elite distributors, particularly on the left side.
So who is he demanding?
The board is aggressively pursuing 2 massive targets right now, Alessandro Bastoni and Ruben Dias.
Wow.
Yeah, and Inter Milan knows exactly how desperate the situation is, so they've drawn a hard, non-negotiable line at 70 million euros for Bastoni.
70 million euros for a defender when we already have 5 on the payroll? Are you kidding me? And how does Ruben Dias even factor into this? Manchester City isn't exactly in the habit of selling their captains for cheap.
This is where Jorge Mendes enters the picture. Mendes is pulling incredible weight behind the scenes at Valdebebas right now.
Yeah, truly.
He operates by creating a carousel. He's actively trying to maneuver pieces at City to create an opening, leveraging his relationship with the player and both clubs to basically manufacture a pathway for Dias to leave Manchester. He wants Dias to become the undisputed anchor of Mourinho's new defense.
I look at this strategy and it feels incredibly reckless. I mean, we are hoarding center backs like dragons, hoarding gold.
It's a massive risk.
If we drop 70 million euros on Bastoni or orchestrate a massive financial package for Ruben Dias, it's like buying a brand new $1 million Ferrari engine, but completely ignoring the fact that the car has a blown transmission. We have 27 players. We have wages absolutely suffocating the club's finances. How do you justify adding a 70 million euro defender without structurally fixing the bloated roster first?
You fund it through brutal collateral damage elsewhere on the pitch, specifically the fullbacks.
Okay, unpack that.
Let's look at the left-back situation. Ferland Mendy is out with a severe hamstring injury until at least October. From a financial perspective, a massive contract attached to a player who cannot even pass a basic medical is a toxic asset. You simply cannot sell him.
So who pays the price for Mendy's hamstring?
Fran Garcia. He's the only liquid asset left in that department. He has solid market value across La Liga and the Premier League, so he's being forcefully shoved out the door.
Man, that's cold.
The club needs his transfer fee to balance the books for the center back acquisition. And crucially, Mourinho has internally guaranteed Alvaro Carreras that he is staying to be Marc Cucurella's primary backup.
So Garcia is the sacrificial lamb.
Exactly. Garcia is sacrificed, the cash is generated, and it flows directly into the Bastoni or Dias fund.
The mechanics of it are just incredibly cold. You have an injured veteran, you can't move, so you sell the healthy academy product just to keep the machine running.
That's the reality of modern football at this level.
But even moving Garcia doesn't solve the massive drain caused by the true fringe players. I mean, if we're talking about clearing deadwood to afford these Galacticos, we have to talk about the absolute soap opera surrounding Dani Ceballos.
Oh man, calling the Ceballos situation a headache doesn't even begin to capture the dysfunction. This is a 7-year saga of just compounding failures. Over his entire tenure, Ceballos has been on the pitch for barely 23% of his total possible minutes.
That is a staggering statistic. 7 years, and he's played less than a quarter of the time.
And you have to add the 14 separate injuries to that.
Yeah.
But honestly, the physical unavailability is only half the problem here.
Right. It's the attitude.
It's the sheer toxicity of his internal relationships. He had highly publicized friction with Zinedine Zidane, actively complaining to the press about his minutes. More recently, he completely alienated Alvaro Arbeloa, to the point where Arbeloa exiled him to the stands as a strictly disciplinary measure.
Which is unheard of.
Exactly. He provides zero on-pitch value and actively degrades the locker room culture.
Which is exactly why the board finally threw their hands up and said, just go. They agreed to let him leave for Real Betis on a free transfer. They're willing to completely swallow his contract, eating a massive financial loss just to get his €5 million net salary off the books.
Right.
They literally hand him the keys to his freedom, and what happens? He stalls the entire operation because he is stubbornly demanding a signing bonus from Betis.
It's the ultimate ego play. Ceballos knows Betis operates under strict La Liga salary caps. By demanding a bonus, he freezes the entire move because Betis literally cannot register the deal without breaching their limit.
It is astonishing arrogance. The club absorbs a massive financial hit to grant him his dream move back to his boyhood club, and he jeopardizes the whole thing over a bonus. He is essentially holding both clubs hostage while contributing absolutely nothing to either of them.
And that entitlement is exactly why Sami Khedira was brought in as Mourinho's new assistant coach.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense now.
Khedira understands the psychology of a championship-winning dressing room. He and Mourinho look at the Ceballos standoff and see a culture that has grown way too comfortable. When players who do not contribute feel empowered to make demands on their way out the door, the competitive standard rots.
It poisons the well.
Getting Ceballos out isn't just about the €5 million. It's about physically removing that entitlement from the building so the younger players don't absorb it.
Well, speaking of the younger players, this entire philosophical shift toward older, hardened veterans has completely paralyzed the youth project.
Completely. I mean, take Nico. For the last 2 years, he has been groomed as the crown jewel, right? The heir apparent in the midfield.
Right.
But the arrival of Bernardo Silva instantly slams that door shut. Paz actually had a phone call with Mourinho recently to discuss his role, and internal sources indicate it was a brutally short conversation.
I can imagine.
Mourinho offered zero guarantees. So now that the front office is scrambling, trying to renegotiate his loan structure with Como or find him minutes elsewhere, because he simply does not exist in Mourinho's immediate plans.
But the paradox here is Gonzalo. Nico Paz gets the absolute cold shoulder, but suddenly Gonzalo is untouchable.
Because Gonzalo offers a very specific raw utility that Mourinho actually values. He doesn't view Gonzalo as a delicate project that needs nurturing. He sees a highly physical, rotational striker who will press relentlessly and just follow instructions.
The futsal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the club has slapped a staggering €30 million price tag on him. It's essentially a giant do not touch sign. If a club wants him, they have to wildly overpay, otherwise he stays, and provides cheap, aggressive depth from Mourinho's system.
It really highlights the ruthless pragmatism at play right now. If you serve a mechanical purpose today, you survive. If your value is tied up in future potential, you are discarded.
Yep.
But let's scale this up, because this hardline stance isn't just being applied to academy kids and fringe players. It is currently causing a massive, high-stakes standoff with the actual face of the franchise.
We have to talk about Vinicius Jr. because the silence surrounding his contract is becoming deafening. Right now, as we speak, he's in the middle of an absolutely dominant World Cup campaign. He just dismantled Haiti, dropping a goal and an assist in under 45 minutes.
He looked unstoppable.
He is constantly reminding the world that he is a generational Ballon d'Or level talent.
And yet his contract expires in 2027.
And negotiations for a renewal have been completely frozen since July 2025. There hasn't been a single meaningful conversation in a year.
I mean, you would assume that watching him tear up a World Cup would cause an absolute panic in the boardroom. You'd think Florentino would be drafting a blank check to secure his prime years.
But that goes against the core institutional philosophy right now. The board refuses to negotiate from a position of perceived weakness. They will not artificially inflate their offer just because of a strong group stage performance at a summer tournament.
But it's Vinny.
I know, but the internal posture, and this is incredibly dangerous, is that they are fully prepared to let Vinicius walk away for free in 2027 rather than shatter their wage structure.
That is madness.
They are basically saying, unless he delivers a historic, undeniable performance that single-handedly wins the World Cup, they won't budge. They are daring him to prove he is bigger than the institution.
They are playing an unbelievable game of chicken with a player who defines their attacking identity. And what makes this so much more complicated is the massive smokescreen they are throwing up regarding Michael Olise.
The Olise situation is fascinating.
Olise is lighting up the tournament for France, and Bayern Munich has slapped an absurd €200 million valuation on him. Suddenly, Real Madrid does something they almost never do. They release a hyper-rare official public statement explicitly denying any contact with Olise or his representatives.
That statement is an absolute masterclass in geopolitical football strategy. When a club of this magnitude publicly denies a rumor, you have to read between the lines. It is absolutely not a lack of interest. Florentino promised a €150 million Galactico signing during his last election campaign. He desperately needs a marquee forward.
So why issue the denial? Why not just let the rumors swirl and apply pressure to Bayern?
Because Bayern Munich is an institutional ally, and the non-aggression pact between the two clubs is way too valuable to risk. If Madrid publicly unsettles Bayern's star player, Bayern will retaliate. Right.
The public statement operates as a diplomatic shield. It pacifies the Bavarians, ensures Madrid doesn't look weak or foolish by entering a €200 million bidding war. They aren't prepared to finish this summer. And it allows the front office to silently, meticulously prepare a long-term offensive for next year. It's entirely political.
They are essentially sacrificing the short-term PR bump of a transfer rumor just to protect their long-term leverage. And meanwhile, they are focusing on the assets they already control, like Arda Güler.
Yeah, Güler's early exit from the World Cup is a massive hidden advantage for the club. By returning to Valdebebas weeks before the rest of the international squad, Mourinho gets uninterrupted, one-on-one time, to hardwire him into this new tactical system.
That's huge.
Exactly. When the older players arrive, Güler will already speak the manager's language on the pitch. But looking at this entire board, I really have to question the grand strategy here. Are we sleepwalking into an absolute disaster with Vinicius? We are playing hardball with a guy who bleeds for the badge, risking a catastrophic free transfer in 2027, all while daydreaming about a €200 million Olise transfer that requires diplomatic gymnastics just to keep Bayern happy.
That's a massive gamble.
Is the obsession with maintaining this rigid wage structure blinding the board to the fact that they might lose their absolute best player?
It's the ultimate test of the club's arrogance. Management firmly believes that the allure of the badge, the history, and the Bernabeu will ultimately force the player to conform. But when you overlay the Vinicius standoff with everything else we've unpacked today, the Valverde fight, the Ceballos mess, the demand for €70 million defenders, a very stark picture emerges of what this club has become overnight.
And that brings us to the core realization of this deep dive. When you look at Mourinho systematically dismantling the youth project, when you see him demanding 28-year-old hardened veterans and forcing out dynamic physical anchors for older dictators,
Right.
when you see the club actively risking a Vinicius exit, the overarching theme isn't building a dynasty. The theme is absolute immediacy.
The 5-year plan has been completely incinerated. The only timeline that exists in that building right now is the next 9 months. It is win immediately, by any means necessary, and let the future sort itself out later.
Which leaves you with a really heavy question to ponder as you watch this summer unfold. Are we mortgaging the club's soul and entirely risking its next decade of dominance just to guarantee a trophy this season? Has the intoxicating obsession with winning today completely blinded the institution to the realities of tomorrow?
When you lock 27 massive egos in a pressure cooker and demand absolute perfection, you aren't building a family. You are building mercenaries for a 9-month war.
The gears are grinding, the wages are suffocating, and the blood on the pitch proves that Valdebebas is operating on a razor's edge. Keep your eyes open, because the chaos is just beginning. We will catch you on the next deep dive.